Hey guys, and welcome to an Aspie's Point of View, where I give you my opinion on stuff. Tonight we are reviewing Season 3, Episode 10 of The Good Doctor, entitled Friends and Family. So in this episode, Shaun and Leah and Dr. Glassman go and visit Shaun's parents because Shaun's father is about to die of a terminal illness. Warning, there are going to be spoilers ahead, so just in case you haven't seen the episode yet, I wanted to give that warning. If you haven't, go watch the episode and then come back and watch my video later. This episode was really difficult to watch. I was very heartbroken the entire time. Heartbroken because of how real what I was seeing was. There are so many parents out there, and I'm lucky my parents were not those parents, but there are so many parents out there who have all these hopes and dreams for their newborn baby before the baby's even born. And if the baby is born with any disability, but Aspergers and autism are a big one, they are disappointed. They didn't get their perfect baby. And I saw it in person when I used to work at children's places like Build-A-Bear and Dave & Buster's. I would see parents come in and they'd have two children, one who was clearly disabled, the other one who was not, and I could see some of the parents treating them differently. And when I saw parents that were acting what I would have thought was normal and treating both of their children the same, I was actually really impressed, because I had started to see how horrible some people were, and I just started to wonder if that was how all people are now. And so watching this episode and seeing Shaun's reaction to his abusive parents and the abuse that his father hurled at him still, even after everything, it was very difficult for me. And when his father started talking about how he had all these hopes and dreams for his child, and then his child was born and he wasn't that child, it broke my heart. I was very proud of Shaun. I was proud of Shaun for standing up to his father, for saying that he was the reason that his brother was dead. He killed his rabbit. He was the person who made his life bad. He drank too much. He took his anger out on others. Shaun got to say everything that he needed to say in order to get his closure. And Shaun never stood up for himself as a child, because like most children, we're afraid to stand up to our parents. It's something that we don't even think we're allowed to do. And so for Shaun, I think this trip was not about forgiveness. In this particular case, I think it was about being able to say everything that he wanted to say but couldn't to his father before his father passed. And it was very interesting, because after Shaun said everything that he wanted to say, Dr. Glassman and Leah have a conversation where Glassman basically is talking about the loss of his daughter without actually speaking of it. He's alluding to it, and how losing a child is parents' worst nightmare, and when you have a child, you have to take responsibility for that child. And he says that if that was the last conversation that Shaun had with his father, he was going to regret it. And so they get Shaun to go back. And Shaun goes back, and his father, for a moment, is very nice. Tells him he's proud of him, tells him he's smart, tells him he loves him. And then the dam breaks and all this hate comes rushing out. And his mother says that his father's delusional, that it's the pain meds, that Shaun shouldn't listen to it. But in all honesty, I feel like it was the truth that was coming out. I feel like the father never learned his lesson. And the father was at that moment telling him exactly how he felt. Yes, maybe it was the pain meds, but it was the pain meds allowing the father to be truthful. And I feel like the man is a horrible person. He told Shaun that it's Shaun's fault that his brother was dead because his brother looked up to him and wanted to be like him. And there is absolutely nothing wrong. I repeat, nothing wrong with looking up to someone who is on the autism spectrum, who is on the autism spectrum. I want to make very clear, there is nothing wrong with looking up to anyone who has a disability. There's nothing wrong to looking up to anyone who does not have a disability. It shouldn't be a question of a person's mental status or physical status. It should be a question of, is that the person you want to emulate? Is that the person that you feel would make you the best you? And so when the conversation ended in that way, my heart broke for Shaun, because we see Shaun back in the hotel. Glassman comes in, offers to sit with him, go for a walk, talk. Shaun politely asks him to go away by saying that he's tired. And Shaun begins doing something that I have experienced myself doing many times. Shaun engages in hurting himself, not taking a razor blade to his wrists, not chugging pills, but hitting his head, pulling his hair, slapping his foot. I once scratched my leg so badly that I drew blood, and I didn't want to hurt myself. I was in the bathroom maybe 20 minutes later with antibacterial soap and bacitracin and bandages, and I was, making sure that what I had done wasn't going to get infected. It's something that a person who's on the spectrum does without realizing they're doing it. It is very similar to stimming, except it's done during a meltdown. It's something that you cannot prevent, because when you're in a meltdown, you don't know what's happening. You don't know what you're saying. You don't know what you're feeling. You don't know what you're doing. It's like that time blanks. And it was very difficult when I was a kid for my doctors, because they couldn't understand why I didn't remember any of the fights I had or any of the times that things got really bad. I would black out, and there would just be this blank spot in my memory. And that's what it is to have a meltdown. That meltdown is a blank spot in your memory you don't remember. And so you could be absolutely horrible to your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, and not know why they're mad at you. And I feel like Shaun's behavior at the end was a part of a meltdown. Whether he had a verbal meltdown or not, we don't see, but we see the physical meltdown. We see the absent-minded harming of the body. And I don't know what it is that makes someone think that pulling their hair or hitting their head is going to make things better. It's not, but it's something that we do unconsciously. And honestly, if you look around, it's something that neurotypical people do as well. You watch a neurotypical person banging their head against a wall because they feel like they're just, having a day where everything's going wrong, or, banging their head against a desk. It's not exclusive to people on the spectrum. It just happens to be a part of a meltdown. And I saw that and it broke my heart as well, because for Shaun, I feel like he lost his father when he was a child, but he got this sliver of hope when his father started to compliment him, and then that hope was torn away. And that's terrible. I always say I'm very lucky. When my grandmother passed away, the last thing she said to me was, "You'll never know how much I love you." And she and I had had our good days and our bad days. She had dementia. She didn't always know, how to conversate with me, and I didn't always know how to conversate with her, but I loved her to death. And I spent more time at that nursing home with her, and I loved every moment of it. Even if she was saying something that I didn't like, I loved being there for her. And for her to whisper that in my ear, for those to be the last words I ever heard her say, everything else was forgotten. And unfortunately for Shaun, he didn't have the last words he heard his father say be the, "You're smart, you're, a good kid, I'm proud of you, I love you." That part was cut off, and then he went back to being abusive. And I do not feel like this is the end of this storyline by any means. I don't know in what way it's going to affect Shaun, because technically speaking, his father treated him the same way now as he treated him before. The issue is that now he's an adult, and now you're reopening wounds that had sort of started to close, started to heal, and how is Shaun going to deal with that? So I think this was the mid-season finale, so we have a little while to wait and speculate. But this week's episode was just very heavy. I'm not even going to go into the patient of the week, because it's a whole nother bag of worms. I may do a separate video on it, but I want to know down below what you thought of the episode, what you thought of Shaun's reaction, of the reactions of Dr. Last Minute and Leah. Did you think they were there for him in a way that you wanted them to be? I want to know what you thought about Shaun's mother and her reaction to everything. I just want to know what you guys thought. So let me know in the comment section down below. If you liked this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up so that I know and I continue to make videos with this kind of content, and subscribe so that you get notified whenever I make a new video. And until next time, this has been an Aspie's point of view. Sorry this one was a little bit of a downer. Hopefully the next video will be uplifting and fun to watch. But until next time, this has been an Aspie's point of view. Bye guys.